to theaters. It has made its return to the streaming services. Some might even say that the MCU is back. Some might not. But we've got 3 movies coming out this year. Brave New World's dropped. We got Fantastic Four coming out this summer, and we got Thunderbolts coming out right before that. We got a new trailer that just dropped for Thunderbolts, and boy, they leaned into the bona fides of everybody working on this project in this one. We got a little close-up of Florence Pugh here and a little retrograde stuff popping up for the Marvel Studios. Starts talking about from the stars of Midsummer, A Different Man, a few other indie movies. I think those are all A24. Writers and director of Beef, cinematographer of The Green Knight, production designer of Hereditary. I mean, the composer of Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're dropping everything right now in this trailer. Again, kind of reminded me of Andor here. But and it had a unique style to it. So to me, it felt like it was like a Suicide Squad trailer. Like it really felt 100% Suicide Squad styled. But Lub, what do you think about this new one?
Yeah, I really liked it. I am excited for this as a 4th round draft pick in the box office draft. Oh. But I think the less Marvel this movie is, or the less Marvel they advertise this movie as, the more successful it could be because of the kind of superhero fatigue I feel like people have right now. Even Captain America not doing super great at the box office compared to past standards of that character. Yeah. So I think this trailer it had a very different style of trailer than any other one we've seen before. Very A24-esque, like we talked about every person they mentioned. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Straight up. JD, you like it?
Yeah, a lot of fun, man. We heard that the box office projections skyrocketed. I don't know if you mentioned that. I just kind of got here mentally, but it looks fun. I still it didn't answer the question I really want to know, and that's why are they assembling? So I think that's tied to the asterisks, and I think that's tied to the title change. She said the Avengers aren't here to protect us. It's like, so what, protect us against what? And they are doing a great job at leaning on just the fun team aspect of this team, and making it just look like a fun action comedy. Like Absolute Cinema was the title of this trailer. And a ton of people in the comments apparently are like, I wasn't going to go see this, but this trailer made me go see it. Apparently there's hundreds of comments that say that. And then that kind of matches that box office thing. So I think it looks fun. I think I've always been looking forward for this. I think they got some kind of ace up their sleeve. And this trailer was pretty cool. I'm glad people are hyped about it.
I say it outperforms Captain America.
Yeah, I think so.
After seeing 3-4 weeks here, I'm gonna say I think it outperforms it, and it'll probably be. It just looks more fun. Captain America, I think, was solid, but it didn't take a lot of massive risks. Whereas this is definitely going to be a lot more unique, a lot more creative on a lot of aspects. As long as, again, they don't just up and outright copy the Suicide Squad. As long as they make it their own, I think there's a lot of potential with this one. Yeah, Brave New World not doing great. Dropped 180 million in opening weekend, and since then it has barely scraped together another 200 million over the next few weekends. It's at 380 million, which the lowest performing is the first Avenger with 370 million. Obviously, after that, the numbers start to kind of skyrocket.
Civil War is a different story, though.
Civil War and the Winter, well, even the Winter Soldier dropped 714, so it doubled up what First Avenger did. So Brave New World not looking great. They should have kept it as New World Order. I think maybe we would have cracked 400 million by now if they did. No, so being my draft pick, that's not great. But we're talking about box office stuff, and I hate to have to make this announcement, but we have to gather the audience and the loyal listeners here and make an announcement. After some more numbers started rolling in, it has been determined that Moonlight won Best Picture. It's not Everything Everywhere, or no, what was it? La La Land. It's not La La Land. There was a mistake. So Mufasa and Sonic 3 kept rolling more than we all thought kind of was possible at the point it was at. And wouldn't you know it, it appears that Caleb's team has overtaken my team and has now won the second annual 2024 box office draft competition. So I was stripped of the trophy. I fought it. They took my stuff and they delivered it to Caleb's this morning. So he is our champion for 2024.
Caleb.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank absolutely nobody. Let's go.
Now, I got to say, Caleb's the only one who's tallied these numbers. I haven't checked it yet,
It's
so
true.
I don't know that they made this late push. Nobody's really fact-checked it, but I can, I figure you wouldn't just do that, right? I mean,
No.
That
so
would be unheard of.
I even checked Gladiator and Lord of the Rings were hearing them the whole time as well, just to keep those numbers updated as
you
well.
didn't have to check the second one.
But I did just in case.
He wasn't going to shoot 200 million out of 20.
Yeah, because I was down
Actually,
70 million when we did the podcast, and Captain America was about to come out. So it's like, okay, we got to do this. We can't keep going any longer. And 70 million, they were already out for 2 months, and they made about 78 million or something combined after that. Mufasa made another 50, crossing over 700 million dollars, which is a surprise. So, yeah, I'm looking to defend this title.
Yep. So there you have it. There you have it. It is now on JD's shoulders to win it this year, and we will be even across the board. And he's got a pretty good squad behind him.
does.
If you haven't,
He does.
if you haven't checked that, go check that episode, 2025 box office draft.
Never mind. I was going to say,
Ribbit?
remind us of the teams.
Frog out there.
It's also crazy how close it was that I won by $5 million when it's a total of 3.5 billion.
Seriously, that is nuts.
Yeah. No, that's an insane margin, and especially for it to be a buzzer beater, like at the end of this, pouring in like that to make that be the comeback, is pretty insane. JD, you asked about the team, so real quick we'll rattle those off. 2025 box office draft. I've got, I don't even know what that is. Oh, Zootopia 2, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, Captain America: Brave New World, Elio, Minecraft, and The Bad Guys 2. Team 2 is Caleb with Fantastic Four, Wicked 2, Michael, Thunderbolts, Snow White. Oh, that's going to be a good one. And Tron Ares.
Uh-oh.
And
That's a
then
pretty
JD's
stacked team, too.
Team 3, Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, live action How to Train Your Dragon, Lilo and Stitch live action, Karate Kid Legends, and Sinners.
That's gonna be good. I like that one.
So I don't feel great about this year. I think reading off those lists, I think you guys have the more standout teams there. But we will see what happens.
Scientifically speaking, Dave's is for sure the worst. Let's just.
Yeah, well, that's yeah.
Snow White
think
comes
they
out
need to
like
be
what?
said.
Next weekend?
Yeah, it's just destroying my Disney ads or some type of ads. I forgot what it was. My podcast ads. So it's coming out sometime soon. They're putting money into the marketing.
No, the problem is mine are all in the same month or two, so that'll be an issue.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
I
comes
do-
out next
yeah.
Friday.
March 21st. There you go. So you heard it here first. Nobody go see it.
Fifth round pick though, I needed to make like 350.
It won't do that. If it makes 350, I will make a concession speech. It's not hitting 350.
You heard it here.
You heard it
first.
here first. Stamp it. And moving on. Let's get into the episode. Welcome in to another episode of Why So Sidious and Nerd podcast. I'm your host, David, here with my co-hosts, Caleb and JD. And tonight we are talking about the return of our friend Daredevil. Yeah, picked up off of the streets of Netflix, got brought to the MCU, and we have got the 2-episode premiere of Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus to cover. There's pretty exciting stuff that happened, so we will get into that soon. Before that, go ahead and follow us on our socials, as always, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Follow us on YouTube. We broke 700 subscribers. We would like to get to 1,000, so go ahead and help us on that. In the meantime, we got a couple of Daredevil episodes that have dropped. We have Daredevil Chip Zdarsky's Volume 1. That's the beginning of our Road to Devil's Reign series that we're going to be doing, where it covers all of the Daredevil stories leading up to that Devil's Reign. It's a new comic series added on kind of likewise to the Road to Secret Wars series we have with Jonathan Hickman's works. We also had an episode drop with JD and special guest Andy from the Galactic Core podcast as a little pregame. Daredevil Born Again pregame episode discussing just the world of Daredevil and getting into a lot of the MCU news involving stuff with, theories and rumors about Doomsday, Secret Wars, expectations, Fantastic Four, all the stuff coming up in the MCU. A grab bag of topics there. It's a good one. And as always, we've got our Weekend Geeks out there. And if you were just tuned in for our cold open, we have our 3rd annual 2025 box office draft out there as well. It's a good one. We just made the concession that Caleb won the 2024. Tough results there for me. But it's okay. We move on. So go ahead and check out those episodes. Also, stay tuned. We will be covering season 2 of Daredevil on Netflix with Andy. We are probably going to drop it right at the end of the season, releasing here with Born Again, but it will be coming out in this next recent window here, so be sure to tune into that. And speaking of that, I'm kind of curious. So we're getting into Daredevil Born Again. There was questions whether it was going to be a direct continuation from the Netflix series or not. Early on in the thing, it was not going to be. The writers did not want it to be. They're going to make it its own thing. But it obviously looks like at this point we are having the story from Netflix continue. So we've got Daredevil, 3 seasons of Daredevil, 2 seasons of Punisher, 3 seasons of Jessica Jones, 2 seasons of Luke Cage, a season of Iron Fist, and a seasons of Defenders. So there's a lot of actual seasons going on from that Netflix world. And I'm kind of curious, and I wanted to toss this out here before we dove into everything, but the Defenders, it's Daredevil, it's Iron Fist, it's Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Colleen Wing. I forget the other people who are involved in it. Elektra's in it, Stick's in it. JD, I'm going to ask you first because I think you've seen more of it. Do you think we'll get a cameo from one of the Defenders, at least one? And if just one, who do you think it'll be? If you had to pick just one of the Defenders, who you think is going to show up in the MCU series here?
I would bet a lot of money, relatively, that Kristen Ritter's in there because she had some posts about it. She was wearing a shirt.
That's
and
right.
She was, her show was the most well received, I think, out of the Defenders. So I could see them bringing her back. A lot of people liked her a lot. The show was actually pretty decent, to be honest. Not the first season was really good.
With Kilgore?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Pretty solid.
God, what's the actor? David Tennant? Oh, man.
Yeah,
Andy's going to kill me.
What's her superhero name? Jessica Jones? Supergirl? Anyway, that's her. I think she'll...
Oh, they never say it in the show, but in the comics, it's like Power Girl or something like that. Yeah, it's something goofy.
Yeah. With Jessica.
They usually just make fun of her for having that name. I'm pretty sure that happens.
Yeah. It's kind of just a joke. But that's a good point. Okay, so outside of Jessica Jones, do you think anybody else? Do you think there's a chance anybody else will?
No, I'm gonna go no.
Okay. Power Woman, that was the name. Okay. I think maybe we could get... Oh, you know what? I don't think our man who plays Stick is actually alive anymore.
Oh, yeah, interesting. The
Scott
Elektra's the
Glenn,
one that
I think his
interests
name
me the
is.
most. I don't really care what to do with any of them, but I'm really curious about her.
She's alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't really care.
Oh wait, I never saw that.
She got
yet.
recast. I thought I remember hearing she got recast. It wasn't the original person returning, but we would see Elektra or something like that. I'm not sure.
They took her out of the grave and put her in that chamber. That's all I saw.
Oh, yeah. So stuff happens. Oh, but you won't see it in Daredevil season 3. You see it in Defenders. You see the future of Elektra in Defenders. So she's not even in Daredevil season 3, I don't think.
Oh, shit.
So it's all covered in the Defenders there. But Scott Glenn's still alive, so I killed him. So he could come back as Stick. I think that... No, Stick's dead, though. Damn it. The actor's alive. The character's dead. Sorry, Caleb. There goes another one.
When did he die?
I think he dies in Defenders.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I think it's the same release with Elektra there. I think he gets murked in Defenders. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, I was thinking maybe one of those two, but it won't be the original cast, so we'll see. But yeah, I think Jessica Jones is in it. And Caleb, you haven't seen anything past Daredevil, correct?
I saw a little bit of Luke Cage, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I watched Luke Cage's first half of the first season with Mahershala Ali,
it was solid.
which his role was really good, and then they killed him off in the first third of the season, and then I was like, oh, well, that was kind of the only part I liked about that show. So I didn't finish it, but
Blade.
Yeah, and that's never gonna happen either. So. All right, well, before we dive into Daredevil Born Again here, I just want to shout out Kevin Feige for making the changes he did. It's pretty crazy. You got to step back and realize that he made a lot of last-minute changes. We had writers who, like I said, wanted to omit Karen Foggy, a lot of the Netflix aspects. They wanted it to be a variant of Daredevil with similar plot points, even though Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio were both pleading, bring Karen and Foggy back. Those are important aspects of this whole story that we're telling here. Like, let's not start a new one, continue it. And the test results came in bad. They fired the writers. They brought back original Netflix cast members. They hired the Punisher director as their showrunner. They hired writers from Moon Knight and Loki. And I think it showed in episode 2, especially here. So that's called fixing things that are broken and making sure the fans actually get what they want. And we don't always see that. So I just wanted to shout that out because this could have been a pretty big disappointment of a show.
But are Karen and Foggy even going to be in the show?
I think they will. I think they're still going to have roles played in this. But the important part being is that it still kept it canon with the story we already knew instead of just bailing on that and then that part of Matt's character building gone that we saw out of those first 3 seasons with those characters. Yeah.
Hey, moving forward, big spoiler alert though, so with Foggy. But also, I mean, why not say it in this setting here? But the Foggy thing has an interesting situation going on where there was a scene and Karen was by an address and that number on the address matched a Daredevil Brubaker issue. That was something called like The Secret Life of Foggy Nelson, where he was revealed to, he died before that and he was revealed to have faked his death or something like that, or brought back to life, I don't remember, but being held in protective custody for a long period of time. That's what the issue is about. That's the number that was right by Karen's head sometime near, obviously that first scene. Karen's only in it in that first scene. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there. So there's a little hint towards maybe Foggy.
It's the address of their law firm. So it's a pretty significant number, too, where it's like, oh, okay, that's a very MCU thing to do. We always see license plates and stuff with issue numbers that relates to what we're watching. Well, we don't always. We used to when they cared about all that stuff. We haven't seen that stuff, I feel like, for a minute. But, yeah, that felt like that for sure.
The other thing is usually a lot of times they do a fun thing like that, and it actually means nothing. But it is a fun Easter egg like, hey, we could be faking this, but they're really not. So you never know.
You seem pretty dead.
Right. Really dead. As dead as any dead animal who's ever died.
Yeah, that was wild. So let's get into it. I'm not gonna do a super detailed recap, but just by the way, full spoilers on everything. Obviously, if you haven't seen Daredevil: Born Again, you're gonna find out what we're talking about in the first 3 minutes. Don't worry about it. It happens before you see the title card, so we didn't. Maybe we did. What are you listening for? Anyways, full spoilers and possible spoilers for the Netflix series. So I will give a little heads up, like this is a spoiler for the Netflix series, but there are going to be things that relate to what we're seeing now. So you've been warned. Get the hell out of here if you don't want to listen. You don't want to hear this. You don't want to get spoiled. So episode 1, real quick recap. We opened up with Foggy, Karen, and Matt leaving Josie's, the infamous dive bar from the Netflix series, with the actual same actress who played Josie. So that was a cool little thing. There you go. We instantly see hell break loose as Bullseye kills Foggy, proceeds to shoot up the bar as he and Daredevil partake in a PS2 cutscene. Before Daredevil tosses Bullseye 50 feet down to the streets. It's okay, though, because he mainly broke the fall with his face, so he's going to be okay. We then dive into the future as Matt and Karen deal with the loss of Foggy, and we get yet another period where our hero has quit being a hero and is struggling to live just a normal life. We start seeing storylines build with Kingpin as mayor, a corrupt corps of cops, and a vigilante out there briefly known as the White Tiger. And actually, a lot of what I just said there is actually part of episode 2 as well. But not a lot of stuff happens in episode 1 after those first 8 minutes there. So I really, out of all this, of episode 1, I really want to talk about the first 10 minutes more than anything. So the bar scene first. I'm curious how this felt to you guys. Did it feel like we were back in the Netflix swing of things with this opening at Josie's as Foggy's hitting on somebody, Matt and Karen are talking, kind of flirting, doing their thing? We get these unique shots of Matt showing off his sensory skills. JD, what did you think about, before all hell broke loose, what did you think about this intro? Did it feel like Daredevil?
Oh, no, not at all, man. Absolutely not. The way they had that music in the background was pretty like foreboding yet upbeat in a way. But that didn't feel like Netflix Daredevil at all. Did you, like, specifically before the action, didn't you guys feel like this was completely off? Or am I alone on that?
I felt like it was as corny as the Netflix bar scenes were, so it kind of felt like, all right, this feels familiar. Because there, a lot of the bar scenes in Netflix is like, there's some pretty corny lines, and Foggy has some really corny lines that he says where it's like, all right, that was pretty cheesy, but whatever. That's their friendship. They kind of have a corny friendship. So I didn't mind it at the start of it. The color tone and everything felt different. It was a lot brighter. But but it kind of felt familiar to me. Lub?
Yeah.
Well, as someone who's been watching it, I guess the most recently, I think it was a pretty good intro. Foggy looked way different with the haircut and the beard, whatever he was going on there. That was like a nice little glow up for Foggy, but and it didn't last long. But yeah, I feel like the actors did a good job of kind of bringing back the characters they were portraying before. It didn't feel too off to me. There were other things that felt kind of off, but I feel like the actors themselves in the same room together did a good job.
I agree with that. They did. The dialogue felt normal. It's just the editing, composing.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
something
the outside
about it
things.
was
right.
Yeah. But tell me that you didn't think someone was going to die immediately when that music came on. It felt like the music that comes on before a death scene. Immediately, I felt like, oh God, Karen or Foggy is like going to die.
Huh.
Like I felt like the music really, really made me feel that way. And then they're just catching up in the bar, and I'm like, shit's going to pop off. Like I feel like someone's going to die. And it was still surprising.
Interesting.
Huh. No, I didn't feel anything until Matt started honing in on Foggy's phone call. But up until that point, I didn't have any indication of that. But now I want to rewatch that.
And I can't believe it happened, but it got me to tear up when he died. And Karen was freaking out, and Matt was freaking out, and it was emotional. He just killed him. It's kind of emotional. We got our boys back. We got our cast back. Daredevil's back. And I was like, Foggy just died. And you're like, oh my God, there's so much happening.
And it was ballsy.
That's bold, right?
Yes. So it was a very bold way to open up this show.
Yeah.
And leading right into it, I wanted to say, I thought it was really cool camera work when Matt's talking to Karen and then he starts overhearing Foggy's conversation. And it kind of zooms out and pans to the side with Matt still being the central focus of the camera. And it zooms out, zooms right back in. And then it ends up with Foggy being in the background, perfectly framed behind Matt's ear. Like the camera shot of it and the sound editing, I thought was really cool the way they were showing, especially if you're a new viewer, you don't really know Matt's full range of abilities.
Right.
Like him hearing the person on the phone, not just Foggy. I thought that was a cool way to show newcomers what we're getting into here.
And I also when it relates to that, during the fight scene when Matt is fighting, but all he's like focusing on is what Karen's saying to Foggy.
Yes.
So you could tell like he's doing this, but his mind is like, oh my God, I hope Foggy doesn't die right now. So I really liked how they did that, where it just kept going back to Karen as he's in the middle of a fight.
So that was the only part of this whole intro that I thought was done solid. Him having to hear Foggy's heart beating slower and slower and his labored breathing while he's in this fight for his life. I thought the sound editing on that, the way they did that, I thought that was brilliant. I hated this scene. I thought it was awful.
The CGI was bad.
Even Matt going up to the top of the rooftop felt like cheap CGI, super unnatural movements.
Terrible CGI.
It was just a CGI, and then he like pops and lands on the roof. I don't like the suit either. Like I don't like the way the suit looks. I like the Netflix suit way more. So the whole climbing of the rooftop, I was like, oof, that's tough. And then we see, I don't know, man. The killing the fly with the paperclip was dope and brought me right back. I was like, oh, all right, we got bullseye already. And shooting him in the chest. The rooftop ascension and then their fight, the smoke from the smoke grenade was poor CGI. Like you can't use practical effects for the smoke grenade, at least. Like that was obviously CGI, and their whole fight, it wasn't just like bad. It felt choppy, unnatural movements, like bad choreography with the punches being thrown. The CGI looked off. I just thought it was freaking terrible. And when the title card started rolling, my heart had kind of dropped at that point. I was super nervous for this show.
Oh, shit.
I obviously, what did you guys think from the start to the title card? How were we feeling once that title card hit? JD, what were you thinking?
I actually liked the action scene. It's not up there with the best, out of the first 3 seasons, but I think they portrayed exhaustion really well. Like they've been fighting for a damn 90 seconds before we start climbing up the stairs. Nothing was great until we started climbing up the stairs. Well, he was such a menace too. He started dropping people, like killing them. That one girl was shaking after he dropped her with a pool ball. But then as they're going up the stairs, just exhausted, and he's covering Daredevil with knives. I thought that was really cool. I was into that. It's not the best choreography fight scene, but yeah, I was okay with it.
Straight up. only thing I'm going to say about the knives, sorry, just real quick. I thought Netflix did it way better when he's throwing all these objects. I felt like you could track him throwing it. I felt like in those fights, like I didn't see any objects being from his hand to Daredevil's suit. It was just like quick movements, and then all of a sudden there's knives in him. I was like, well, where the hell did those come from, though? Like
knives all of a sudden.
And in the bar too, I would just see random objects, but like I had no way of grasping where they came from or who threw what or anyway. But did it work for you, Lub? What did you feel about this whole sequence here?
The hand-to-hand stuff wasn't bad. It did feel a little bit off. Like it wasn't horrible. And there was some with the camera angle too, like the smoke bomb scene when the people are trying to escape around them outside the bar. It just felt
they tried to do a one cut.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem right. Like it didn't do it legit. So maybe it was like a last minute thing they added in. Maybe Feige came in and killed Foggy. You never know. But I did love the ending. I felt like Palpatine saying, "Do it," because when he had him up on there, I was like, throw this motherfucker off
crazy
right now.
moment.
Like, take him out. I would have done the same thing, and when he did it, I was like, let's go.
Holy shit.
But Daredevil, I know, wouldn't do that, but let's go.
Dude, my jaw dropped. Like,
Same.
Foggy just took a shot to the chest, and Daredevil just killed Bullseye in the first. Is this a feat? I was waiting for Matt to wake up. I was like, maybe that's why it was bad CGI too. Maybe this is a nightmare. Like maybe this whole thing was a crazy ass dream sequence to open up. No, that was all real, bro. That was wild. Like he's yelling, like you said, JD. It got emotional. Him hearing Foggy dying. And then him realizing he's dead and screaming why at Bullseye. And all Bullseye does is smile and gives him a little pat on the shoulder and laughs. Like that. Yeah. Great acting by Wilson Bethel there. The maniacal smile and pat on the shoulder. Like, yeah, I just killed your best friend. Like, dude. And he just tosses him off the freaking building. That was wild. So it was a bold intro. I really wish they did that entire fight sequence differently.
Oh, don't you remember? Doesn't he have like a vibranium spine or something?
So that's
kind of enhancement.
Okay. That's what I was gonna get into. So he's alive. I wish they would have had him land on his back or something. He landed on his face. That was 5 stories. I counted the windows. This is a 5-story building that he face planted from, with blood just seeping out, and he still is conscious and opens his eye, and he's just got a scar on his cheek. But yeah, so spoiler alerts for season 3 Daredevil. In the finale, Homeboy gets his spine broke. Bullseye gets his spine broke against a pillar.
Batman style.
It's pretty gnarly. And one of the final scenes of the season is him on an operating table, and you kind of hear they didn't say vibranium, but they're doing experimental spinal surgery on him and using experimental stuff that's supposed to make him stronger, essentially. I forgot exactly what it was, but it's some type of anium, but not vibranium, not adamantium, but something.
Ulysses Claw got his hands on it, sold it to someone.
Yeah, some type of black market, experimental spinal surgery that they did on him. So he is enhanced, if we're going off of what happened at the end of season 3. But the face, man, I don't know if his face was that enhanced.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Broken jaw. I don't know. A vibranium spine's got to do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It helps a little bit. It just helps a little bit.
Yeah. There's something there. It heals.
JD, you mentioned before we started why, and I really do hope we find out why Bullseye just went straight to the bar and murdered Foggy. I really want to find out why that happened.
That's what we think. We think a lot of the story will be revolved around that now, because it was so random. Yeah. And maybe they are doing the Secret Life of Foggy thing. I don't know, but whether or not that was too random, they got to come back to that. Maybe figure out who hired him or something. I don't know.
Did something happen again? Spoiler. But I was trying to remember if something happened in season 3 where Foggy exposed him and he's got like a grudge against him at that point in season 3. Like he kind of helped screw him over. But I couldn't remember, and I forgot to look into it. But I was like, man, is there some residual? Like, is this literally picking right up from what we kind of saw in Daredevil season 3? So that's my other question. We get the title card, which, by the way, I loved. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I loved the whole Stone Daredevil, and they used the OG theme song in the second half of it, so I liked it. I don't know if you guys cared or not about it, but
I did.
Yeah, it was good.
Straight up, I always like a good title card. Make it dope. But so we get the 1 year later thing. So my question is, how long after season 3 is this? After Daredevil finishes, skip to the end of season 3. I won't say all the details, but after Bullseye's getting surgery, all that stuff, how long is this taking place? So I don't know if we'll ever find that out.
We got hints.
It's
Someone
post
said-
Echo.
Well, and they also
True.
said about 5 years. It almost follows Infinity War, but I think the Bullseye actor did say it took place about 5 years after.
After season 3?
Yes.
Okay, but we have the blip, so it's got to be more than 5 years. 5 years, maybe
Maybe-
plus.
Yeah, so
or-
you said around 5, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll find out. But yeah, it is after Echo at least. Who knows about
Almost real
She-Hulk?
time. Almost real time. Like,
Okay. So, I don't know. The rest of the episode didn't really do much for me. We get Vanessa, the OG actress, is back. She's taken over the crime organization. She's meeting with the 5 families. We see the tracksuit mafia that we saw in Hawkeye. Kingpin's running for mayor. James Gandolfini's son is the kid who is infatuated with Kingpin on his little campaign team there.
The Gabagool.
Yeah, Love's been watching Sopranos. He knows all about him, you know. I think his son actually played a young Tony in that one movie they did that was supposed to be a prequel of Tony Soprano. I forgot what the name of it was.
Saints of...
Yeah, Saints of something of Newark or something like that.
Yeah.
But we get the Bullseye hearing where, you know, for the murder of Foggy, we learn Karen's living in San Francisco and just came back to visit. So, you know, Matt's got 2 booty calls now in California. When he goes back out to meet She-Hulk, he stop by and see Karen too before he comes back to New York. Yeah, I don't know. There was cool little touches. I like the cutting in and out of like the interviews on the streets. It kind of reminded me of like Spider-Man 2 movie, where there's people giving their opinions. Like, we don't need the vigilantes. I miss Daredevil. He did this and that. Like, bring Daredevil back. It felt like an early 2000s touch to things, but I think I liked that because it felt like Spider-Man 2 and how that was shot throughout its movie. But how did that land for you?
I kind of got like Spider-Man video game vibes. Like, I don't know if it totally landed for me. Like, I did kind of like getting the city's opinion on things, but I don't know. It felt a little different from Daredevil.
Yeah, no, for sure. More goofy than the Netflix. And maybe that was just done for new viewers who haven't watched the Netflix, just to kind of get a gauge on Daredevil's public opinion at this point. And I did want to talk about this really, really quick, talking about public opinion of Daredevil. In that intro scene, we see Cherry and Detective West, I think it was. And Cherry's talking about how vigilantes are making normal cops feel, you know, pointless at this point. Yeah, insignificant. And I really feel like that was another hint at a plot point we're going to continuously see in the MCU as a whole, which is the public opinion of superheroes being worse and worse over time, kind of similar to the storyline of the mutants with, you know, being hated and feared by the public. We're going to see the Thunderbolts. The public might turn to the Thunderbolts at this point because they're so fed up with heroes. So I think that's going to be a big plot point we continue to see with heroes kind of fighting against the negative opinion. Now Kingpin's the mayor. He's running against vigilantes, like ending them, not just arresting them. So I think that's going to be a major point through this season, is the whole how superheroes look to the public across the MCU right now.
They're really breaking the fourth wall.
A little bit.
You got to wonder if they'll even mention the Sokovia Accords, because it's also kind of like that vibe. It's kind of like a Civil War vibe along with the mutants.
Well, Fisk's opponent, I think it was a debate scene where he talks about, or I don't know, it was a different scene, but how he wants all the vigilantes to get registered.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and
kind
Fisk
of like
wants them to end, not be registered, but be like killed.
Right. So not a Sokovia Accords, but like if you want to be a vigilante, you need to kind of check in with us every now and then.
Well, like Civil War in the comics, the
Yeah,
superhero registration.
And like specifically, did you mention Devil's Reign was I was gone? Because obviously Kingpin, it's just isolated to New York, right? So if you're in New York, you cannot be a superhero. That's what he does. That's his Civil War. That's his Sokovia Accords, right? Just New York.
Dude, and we're obviously leaning into that. Like, he's got his victory speech which this is episode 2, but whatever, we're talking about it, where he says, we don't need to be protected by a maniac wearing a skull on his shirt, a man who dresses as the devil, a guy who wears a spider outfit, which was dope, which was so. Just hearing the Kingpin that we've seen in the Netflix series mention Spider-Man was so satisfying, because Spider-Man and Kingpin have such a history there too. Like, Kingpin is such a big villain for Spider-Man at points, and it felt like a moment of completion when he mentioned, not in that way, baby, but when he mentioned Spider-Man, Kingpin saying that, it was like, oh yeah, that's what we're here for.
Him and Tom Holland have to cross paths.
Yes, dude. I think it's gonna happen. We'll see Tom Holland and Vincent D'Onofrio cross paths at some point. It's gotta happen.
In the show though.
It's gotta happen.
Can you imagine
Spider-Man or Avengers?
No, in an Avengers movie, Kingpin would be so fun, man. Holy cow.
Yeah. President Kingpin. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
He's lost weight though.
Wait.
I don't know how he would do in his hand-to-hand combat anymore.
Yeah.
He looks old too.
Spider-Man? Oh, Kingpin. Yeah,
No,
he doesn't
Kingpin.
have that giant power behind him now. They said it. He lost weight. He has a lighter step.
Yeah,
strict
that
diet.
that didn't do it for me, bro. Matt saying you've lost weight, more muscle. It's like, yeah, the more muscle line ain't doing it for me, man. Look, I get it. I get it. It's really hard putting on all that weight for Vincent, so I'm not begrudging him at all. But I just had the feeling like it doesn't feel right. He needs to look bigger. I need him to look bigger. I don't know.
I totally agree, but I respect the person, because if you're that old, gaining weight is not healthy. So it's like I'm not willing to like gain 50 pounds for this role, and that's probably what we would all do.
Right. No, exactly. That's why I said I don't begrudge Vincent at all for not doing it. He's 65 years old, bro. So I totally get it. And I think I'll get used to it. It was just that first couple scenes where it was like, he doesn't feel as scary as Netflix Kingpin. Like, yeah, he might crush your skull in a car door right now. I don't get that vibe from him anymore. But
I trust they will make him very scary at some point.
Yeah, I agree.
Despite, I can't wait. I hope they do anyway.
He had the brief moment with the commissioner where he flipped the switch just like that and showed him a picture of his wife and son. It was like, okay, he I guess he's still pretty intimidating here.
Yeah.
So
he's like happier. He's more confident and happier about it too. So it's almost like kind of scary in a way.
Yeah.
He's learned from his mistakes.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to talk about this episode, was their talk of the diner. How did that land for you guys? Their little back and forth. Caleb, why don't you start us off there?
I liked it. It seemed like they were a couple old friends catching up, picking and prodding at each other to see how, they're really feeling. It started off kind of calm, kind of, going back and forth in it. Because obviously Fisk knows that he's Daredevil. He figured that out pretty soon, pretty sure. Right. Was that in season 1? Did he know in season 1? I think he saw like a videotape of a blind.
Season 2. He asks for that information in season 2.
Oh,
starts digging in there when he's in the prison. He asks his right hand man. He's like, "Look into Matt Murdock again," and that's when he starts. And then
he asked him like, "Why'd you stop being a vigilante? Like, why'd you take the mask off?" And so that was kind of the whole climax of it. And he's like, if you try it again, like you're gonna get in trouble now. And Matt's like, all right, like I'm glad I know where we stand now, and just kind of walks off. So I liked it.
Straight up.
I actually loved it, and I think you didn't love it, Dave. Anyway, the reason I liked it is, it did feel like Netflix. It felt like a normal conversation they would have, and I just loved them on screen together. But I loved the shift in tone as soon as I forgot there was a line that was pretty much like, he might have said, "Don't be Daredevil," or "Don't be," something about, "If you're Kingpin, I'll shut you down." There was a line and a shift in the music, the score changed, and it was like, it's been a week. I didn't rewatch it, but I liked it a lot, and I thought there was some good cinema there, with the whole shifting of like Kingpin's trying to be good, but Daredevil's trying to they're both trying to put the devil away, their inner devil away. They really both are trying, and they both kind of succeeded in a way. But then there's a lot of other imagery with the red and the white and the faces that's showing their like his face shining in white when he's mayor, and he's like the good person now, while Matt's down there looking up and red, and he's becoming the devil again. There was a lot of that, and I even saw it in that diner scene. So,
yeah. No, so overall, I think I was still in a weird place after the first 10 minutes. So when the scene came, I I was probably a little bit more critical. And again, the weight, I was still getting used to the weight thing too and everything, which again is no slight to him.
Like Jonah Hill.
But on my rewatch, I enjoyed it a lot more. But it kind of, when they were being civil with each other, it kind of gave me the Magneto Charles vibe, like old friends like Caleb, like you said there. So no, I appreciated it, and I think it was a really good way to set the tone for the season in a pretty short amount of time. Nice little reunion between the two and setting the tone for exactly what they're going to be doing going up ahead. So real quick, and we also find out Fisk, by the way, tells Vanessa he knows about Adam. I don't know if Fisk has a son out there now or if that's Vanessa's affair and she's boning a guy on the side there.
I think it's a side thing.
Side piece.
She said don't kill him.
Keep reading Zdarsky, man. We'll figure out what's going on.
Oh,
there's a
here
son,
we go.
but it's dramatic too, so it could be that. Could be that.
All right.
I don't know. I don't remember the
could
name.
be a lover.
I don't remember. If it's
Why would he
that.
want to kill his son though?
Well, the crime families do all kinds of weird things.
Maybe Spider-Man's the father. By the way, we got an F-bomb at the very end of this episode too, which felt weird for the Disney Plus. I was like, whoa, hey, where did that come from? Yeah.
Really committing.
Forgot it was TVMA. But so that was episode 1. Like I said, I was not crazy about it, but thank God it was a 2-episode premiere. There's not as much to talk about in episode 2, but I liked it way more overall. So just real quick, Fisk wins the mayor. He's mayor. He's working through his marriage with his lovely, cheating, scandalous crime lord wife, Vanessa. We're seeing the city's reactions, positive and negative. Lots of parallels to the whole Trump candidacy thing in this Kingpin winning stuff. I think probably
Red Hulk.
Intentional at parts. Yes. I think there's a lot of intentionality in that. We're introduced to a crooked New York Police Department group led by a cop played by Hamish Allen Headley, who, believe it or not, played a crooked cop and mayor of Kingstown, which, side note, is a pretty solid show. He beats up on a poor guy and gets stopped by who we learn is the White Tiger. His name is Hector, and he is a vigilante in New York. Oh, yeah. We see Kingpin wrestling with bureaucracy. Good Lord, bureaucracy. That is a tough word. As he sets up his mayoral empire, and we see Matt yet again being a civil lawyer and hiding from his mask. But unfortunately for him, and fortunately for us, you can only hide from your true self for so long. And we see him stepping in to bring justice to the vigilante known as the White Tiger. Not justice to him, but justice for him. Stupid. Matt breaks into an apartment to save the last witness who could testify against the crooked police, and he gets the guy out before the cops break in and try to kill Matt. Unfortunately for them, Matt listens to an old quote that was once told to him, and he lets the devil out. Oh, and he's back. We got the Netflix Daredevil back. We get a savage little action scene, which, God, that got my blood going.
That was good.
Yeah, so overall, I really liked this episode. We talked about the crooked cop. That's another parallel. Obviously, stuff out there, Blue Lives Matter, people wearing Punisher skull, yada, yada, yada. People are going to complain about it, but I think it totally makes sense to the story. We're seeing this cop group who's looking at the Punisher and is taking his logo as, like, idolizing him, but fighting for something he doesn't believe in, which is obviously why we're going to see Punisher step in. But these crooked cops had Punisher tattoos on their wrists with a little American flag on the skull of the Punisher. So they're obviously taking his name and doing what they will in using his name to justify it. So that's going to be a major point moving forward in the season, which I'm really excited to see Frank taking it out on corrupt cops again. Can't wait.
Yeah.
God. So, dude, that was a pretty dope thing. So right off the bat, the subway thing, we already talked about Fisk's victory speech. But the police officers beating up on these two guys, and Hector strolls in and he starts, just backing up the guy who's getting his ass beat by the cops. One of the cops basically kills himself, trips over the other dude and falls into a train. And he gets arrested. And this is our first introduction to White Tiger, which is a pretty interesting little character. He apparently has an amulet that gives him powers. It's mentioned a few times. He didn't have his amulet on him. He even says that to Matt, I think, at one point. I wasn't wearing the amulet. I didn't have powers. He was just fighting. So it feels like Black Panther not having his powers kind of deal. And it's another avatar in the MCU. We've got Black Panther. He's the avatar of Bast. Moon Knight, avatar of Khonshu. Harrow is the avatar of Amit. Peter Parker's kind of an avatar in himself, being Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
So there's a lot more stuff being added to this, and the White Tiger is supposed to be the avatar of the Tiger God. So the dude's name is Kamar de los Reyes. Sorry, no, that's the actor's name. The guy's name is Hector something, I forgot. But the actor, Camaro de los Reyes, passed away. Hector Ayala or something. That's right. Yeah, but the actor passed away, battle with cancer, which sucks, obviously, regardless. I mean, it's just horrible, horrible thing to pass away from, especially at his age. But I feel like it's going to be another Ray Stevenson deal because I really like his character already, and he's barely been in it. His fight scene was dope. That brought my hope back. It was no CGI, really solid hand-to-hand fight scene, and I was like, okay, all right, so we've got the potential here.
I could see him dying in the show.
Well, it's possible because he has a little sister, I think, of the comics who takes up the mantle as the White Tiger. So they have an easy out there. We saw some hints of stuff in his apartment that showed that he might have a sister he lives with or a girlfriend or something like that, a daughter. So they can, move on to the next White Tiger, but it's obviously just incredibly sad. Guy never got to see his project come to life and see people who I feel like are going to really like this character. So it's a tough one.
You say he dies. Spoiler alert for comics: the Brian Michael Bendis amazing Daredevil run, but it ends with White Tiger dying on the steps of the courthouse. Like something dramatic happens in the courtroom, and he rushes out doing superhero panic stuff, and he gets shot down on the steps of the courtroom. So I wonder if they will do that.
Okay. I mean, that seems likely.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see him in the suit and see what kind of powers he's got. But what did you guys think of him here?
I didn't like him that much because the very first, just the superhero side of him. I love the story and I like the actor and I thought his fight scene was good. But the first scene we saw of him on the camera was the corniest tiger strike that he was doing his vigilante thing, fighting these robbers. And you just see him doing the stupidest tiger strike, and you're just like, that was so
like awesome. Iron Fist posing and stuff.
Kind of like that. When you see it next time, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's kind of
that's straight up.
But no, the story's cool. So that's crazy. He died. Looking forward to that. I mean, well, I don't mean to, how I go. Looking forward to the rest of his story.
No, I know. Yeah.
We got you. Not funny, Caleb.
Love, what do you think? Are you excited about White Tiger? Do you care?
No, I think his story is interesting, and I think the end of the episode really wrapped it up well with the scene with the witness, the guy he saved.
No,
because I just love how when Matt, unlocks the door, steps back, and the cops walk in and they see the lawyer who's defending the guy they're trying to cover it all up for, and they're just like, oh shit, wrong place, wrong time.
I was also going to bring that up. Didn't you think that would work in a legal situation if he just had a picture of them showing up at the dude's house? Right there. That's evidence right there. But is that 100%. Could you use that in a court of law? Because you can't use video sometimes in a court of law.
They probably wouldn't let him leave with it.
Yeah, it's Daredevil. So at the same time, I'm just saying he had an avenue that would have been zero fighting. Picture, boom, he won the case. He still does want to win the case anyway. He could have taken the picture and then whooped their ass. But that seems like super good evidence for your case. But
and the cops can't say anything either. They can't be like, "Oh, he kicked our ass."
Yeah, why else are you?
Why were you there?
Yeah. But I thought it was
checking
sick
up on him.
They walk in, and he's just smiling, like, "I got you, motherfuckers."
Oh, it was perfect. He got him out the door. That was perfect, and that felt again. That's why there was a lot of cool stuff in Netflix's Daredevil, because he'd outsmart people like that sometimes with the law too, just outside of breaking wrists and snapping people. There was some clever stuff that he would do too, and Charlie Cox really plays that, like you said, that smile where he knows he just got you. He plays it off really well. And that let's just talk about that scene right there. So there's a couple other things that happened, but dude, that scene was just like. That's what sealed it for me, where I felt like Daredevil was back. There was no CGI in that fight scene. You see him kind of taking the beating, and I almost pictured Fisk from season 3 being in his imagination telling him to let the devil out while he's getting his ass kicked. Like, you feel like it's going through his head there, and it's just, you're only getting so far until he is about to snap. And man, when he did, it was so satisfying. Just whoops these dudes. It looked like he snapped one of the dudes' necks. I thought he killed somebody there. Maybe they're just unconscious, but it felt like to me he snapped the dude who's in Mayor of Kingstown's neck. But he snaps the dude's arm. You see his bone pop through into the shirt and everything. Gnarly. So we see this really gritty, tough to watch hand-to-hand fight scene, and it was so. I can't tell you how freaking enjoyable this was, because it brought all the hope back that I thought that I had lost earlier, like an hour or before when I watched the first episode. This just brought so much confidence for me going forward with the show. Such a dope ending to the episode.
How he says, "Don't do this. You're not gonna like the ending." You know, like just
Little Hulk status.
like yeah, you don't like me when I'm angry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Matt is a reserved, nice guy, but I do like that kind of cocky side that he brings out every now and then, where like,
Oh yeah.
you don't want to mess with me, bro. Like, just because I'm blind and I'm a lawyer, like, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Oh, it was sick. Oh, so satisfying. JD, did you have anything else on that scene there?
No, I covered it. Awesome scene. It was, I guess I could mention the fact that remember we heard before it was supposed to take 4 episodes or 5 episodes before we saw him in costume. That's where Kevin Feige came in and expedited that. That was a 2-episode process, and it started with a crazy Daredevil action, and it ended. So now we know Daredevil's back. But again, what you were saying at the beginning of this episode, thank God Kevin Feige came back, because I would imagine like the worst of those 2 episodes would be probably like the majority of the 4-episode stint before Daredevil even suited up, before Feige changed it. So
Yeah.
great,
Dude.
great to do the 2-episode premiere and let us know by the end of that we're getting Daredevil next week. Tomorrow.
Totally agree.
Today
Oh,
for you
let's
guys.
go. No, dude, it was 20 episodes initially, and initially they said Daredevil didn't appear until episode 8. That was one of the first reports, and it was that's why I think that intro scene was a late, kind of quickly done.
Right.
Let's get him in the suit, give him a fight scene right off the bat, because we're not waiting at 8
Kill
episodes
Foggy.
for that. But just a couple notable things from the episode before we wrap this up. We got mention of Ben Urich from the Netflix series, which I loved him. Really sad death he had. So we get his niece running that BB show where they're interviewing all the people on the streets. I think she'll obviously continue to pop up.
Don't have an Uncle Ben.
Yeah, having an Uncle Ben is always bad news, and they typically die. So maybe she'll become Spider-Girl. I don't
And
know.
how
We'll
Fisk
see.
says, "Oh, he was a good reporter. I liked him." It's
Yeah,
like, bro, you fucking killed him.
I still remember how you killed him, you dirtbag.
There were
And
some
she's
good
angry.
Easter eggs for the Netflix viewers.
Yeah.
And she said she was suspicious of him, right?
Oh, yeah.
We still don't know who killed my dad or whatever. So that's
Uncle.
interesting.
Yeah.
Uncle.
Well, I thought it was his daughter too, but then I was reading stuff today and it kept saying it was his niece. I was like, I could have swore it said daughter in the show, but
No,
I
it
guess
said
it was his
uncle.
niece. But okay.
Well, you know what else is interesting is Vanessa Fisk is like running the business, and Fisk had disappeared for a while. So that's really
We
interesting.
got shot in the face.
Yeah, another big Brubaker thing, and another potential spoiler for the future is her and Matt, I think, are going to ally up at some point against Kingpin. I think she's going to play a big role in kind of the climax of things, for sure. I think
Yeah,
big
it
time,
seems,
because
yeah, I
it
think
seems
she's kinda
she's
over him.
She's moved on. Yeah.
they're already building tension. Something's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, what was I just gonna? Oh yeah. Real quick, Kingpin got shot in the face the last time we saw him. There's no scar on his face, or
There's no-
Echo
on the
shot
side
him
of
in the
his eye.
face.
There's like a
Does he
something
have a
on his
little
eye.
something?
Yeah, over here. Yeah.
Is it indicative of a bullet wound in the face? Because I didn't
No.
really notice it, and I feel like you would notice getting shot in the face.
Yeah, it should be
Somehow
like
his
above
flesh
the
returned.
eyebrow too.
Somehow his flesh returned.
You can always do it now.
There you go. We saw. I mean, it's pretty cool. Kingpin turned a new leaf. I mean, we could really tell by the way he told that construction worker to fix the pothole that he's a good guy deep down, and he's a great mayor right off the bat there. So
Yeah.
that was funny. A little
I
nice
thought for a
propaganda
second
thrown
he
in
was
there.
gonna say "Make America Great Again," but he said, make,
Dude, they were totally. There were a
Right?
lot of like heavy-handed, like okay.
Together.
It wasn't the Boys season 3 heavy-handedness, but
Right.
there were a few times where it was like that was obviously a nod at Trump. Okay.
Right.
But again, as long as they keep it within the story, like, bro, I don't care if you write a good story. There's parallels to real life, whatever. As long as you make it the story and like just heavy-handedly force stuff down our throats about that, then fine. If it's a part of the story, whatever, I'm good with it. Like, I'm not tripping on it as long as you're writing a good story. But I don't know. We saw some cool commissioner stuff with the commissioner of the police, who was just like, "Yeah, I'm leaving. Screw you. I obviously don't trust you." He threatens him. He goes, "All right, I'll stay. Be careful what you wish for." So I like this commissioner so far. He obviously doesn't know what he's fully getting into, but I like his spunk. I like how totally against Kingpin's reign he is right now. So obviously we're gonna see some stuff go down there.
I think he does
got
know
some
though.
Well,
'Cause, 'cause
what-
at the
well,
funeral,
right.
where he says like, you gave up your criminal empire for less money and less power, so he
Yeah.
knows.
No, he knows he's a criminal. I just meant he maybe doesn't know that, Kingpin might crush his son's skull in front of him with a car door or something like that to
Yeah,
that
that's
extent.
true.
But,
Oh my God.
but no, he
You just
totally
brought me
knows
back
that
to
he's an
that
evil
scene.
man.
Jesus.
He's gnarly. So that was cool though. So we got intimidating Kingpin scenes. We got a cool setup with the police, the people who are on his side, the people who are against him. We get Matt facing off his new rival lawyer, the Hawk, Hawkberg, who's defending the people. So I like all the court scenes
He's
and
a
stuff.
vigilante,
Typically
too.
with Netflix, he's gonna be the Blue Hawk coming up.
Hawkman.
A-Train's gonna drag him across the ground. But no, I'm liking it. It felt Netflix-ish with the court stuff there. I don't know if you guys were liking that or not, but it felt back at home for me as far as Daredevil goes with legal stuff.
I'm really excited for more of the legal stuff with Ayala because they just did the initial proceeding where it's like, okay, you can't have bail with not much else.
Right. It was just he's a vigilante that plays no part in this, kind of little, just tiny bit of a back and forth with a nice little teaser.
Yeah, and a lot more to come for sure.
Yeah.
And we get like a one episode tomorrow, but 2 episodes the following week, I think. I'm about to look it up.
Really?
Yeah.
One last thing before overall thoughts. We had somebody pop up. We had a scene where this ginger kid walks up and is begging this patient. Sorry if is that a derogatory term? These
No,
days?
it's
I don't
just
know.
funny.
Got this ginger kid walking up. He begs the therapist that Matt's boinking right now to be a patient. He's like, please take me on as a patient. And people are speculating this is going to be Muse. So Muse is a crazy ass character who, interestingly enough, looks exactly like Cletus Cassidy. So the Marvel writers really think something about people with males with red hair. They all are vicious serial killers in Marvel. But yeah, so it looks like that could be Muse. Who's again crazy. I guess he's an Inhuman in the comics. He's a serial killer, makes art out of his dead victims. And apparently he can absorb and hide like sensory information like a living black hole. So Matt's skills to pick up on sensory things to see, like this is going to screw with him with Muse's abilities there. And I think that therapist is about to get slaughtered and Matt's going to be really upset about that. Poor Matt. But I think she's screwed if she's going to be the therapist for this serial killer psychopath. But I thought that was a little teaser at Muse, so I'm really curious to see. He was in the trailer. It's a wild character, so I'm curious to see when he's going to pop up.
Ooh, and Kingpin's dudes went in for an appointment too, so that Kingpin's like on to them. He knows that they have a love thing, and he knows he wants to have leverage on Matt Murdock at some point. So he's already digging into his brand
he
new
did that.
love life.
He did that for their marriage counseling, though, and because
Okay,
right after
that's
that,
right.
Kingpin and Vanessa met her, and they were doing marriage therapy.
Yes, yes.
But I could totally see if he hasn't figured it out,
It's not
he
coincidence.
finds out soon that it's right. Exactly.
I don't think
they're
so.
going to Matt's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be intentional there.
I think he
Speaking
knows
of-
already.
Yeah. Speaking of Matt's girlfriend, Kirsten McDuffie's a big character too. So,
Oh,
I
yeah?
thought she was a cool little character. Like his job is so different. His lawyer job is so different from Nelson and Murdock now. But
Yeah.
Kirsten is a big character, so let's look out for what role she's going
Well,
to.
she's like the assistant DA or something like that. I forget. She had a big role.
They have a love life, and I think she gets spoiler alert murdered, but I don't even know if that's true.
Keep it going.
Damn.
Keep going.
Speaking
Go
of-
Buster.
Speaking of Matt's girlfriend, for being a blind guy, he's kind of 3 for 3 now on good-looking women.
No,
Like
dude, he
he
could
keeps
see.
attracting the best-looking women, but he's
No,
blind.
You know what? He could tell how healthy people are. If he sees a woman and she's super healthy, blah blah blah, she's probably attractive. And then it comes down to the character,
Right?
and
He just
stuff. But
somehow
even Foggy
attracts
says
the good ones.
he could see, dude. He could see pretty much. He could see in other ways. And Foggy said it in season 1. He's like, "How do you always find attractive women? You're blind."
Pulls it. Even in Chip Zdarsky's, the first scene is him sleeping with a beautiful woman in volume 1, issue 1. It's like, all right, this is a comic thing too. All right.
Yeah.
Matt's got game. So that's pretty much it for the 2-episode premiere there. I didn't really ask for any ratings. If you guys have some, somebody had asked me about it, one of my buddies, and I said I think episode 1 I'd honestly give like a 6.5 out of 10, but episode 2 I'd probably give like an 8.1, 8, maybe 7.9 to 8.1 for episode 2. I really liked it. So what did you guys feel? Do you feel better or worse about the show? If you got a rating, go ahead and throw it out. But JD, what were your thoughts on the premiere?
I feel about the same as far as confidence because, thankfully for the episode 2 ending the way it did. And I liked episode 1. Anyway, across the board, episode 1 and 2, it averages around an 8, yeah. Which episode 2 a little better, but.
Love?
I am wondering how the audience is feeling, like the audience who didn't watch the Netflix series is feeling, because I feel like they kind of just picked up where they left off on a lot of it, which is cool. You don't want to see him start over, but like if you never watched the Netflix series, I feel like he might be kind of lost right now. You guys feel that too?
A little bit.
Well, I guess
I was
Karen and
thinking
Foggy-
about that.
But they're
Karen and Foggy
establishing
were
the
kind of
hero
pushed
and
to
the
the
villain
side.
pretty well.
But it felt like a lot of the stuff was like, okay, like these are all established characters already.
That's true.
Well, if you didn't watch it before, the first 8 minutes wouldn't have meant much to you.
Exactly.
You just met this dude and he gets sniped right off the bat. And yes, they're crying, but like, what does it mean to you if you don't know their characters and their character arcs behind it? So, and you don't know who Bullseye is really. He just strolled up. You don't even really know
I
that's
didn't know who he
Bullseye
was.
at this point. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. See, that's a good example right there.
Yeah, I
So,
was like, it was kind of off-putting where, okay, this guy's like here, he's about to kill everyone. So it was like, I was thinking like, I've only seen 2 out of 3 seasons. So if you've never seen any of it, you're probably like,
Yeah.
what is going on right now?
yeah. Well, it's an interesting. I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio, they asked him and he said he thinks of it as season 4. So,
Right. It kind
with
of
that
feels
being
like
said, you kind of do need to watch the other seasons to kind of know what you're getting into here.
and it's
Post-Blip
13
season
episodes,
4
like
makes perfect
an
sense.
hour each
Right.
episode. It's a lot.
Straight up.
But I do enjoy the story that they're setting up. I think it was a solid first 2 episodes. I do love having Kingpin back in my life. That's why I think season 1's better than season 2, just because of Kingpin and Matt as well. Like for Spider-Man, you get the dynamic of being like a student and a superhero at the same time. But with Matt, it's a lawyer and a superhero at the same time. It's literally like the 2 opposing sides of the law where you're either going to do it the right way or you're going to do it yourself. So that's always
Right.
awesome to see that kind of back and forth on screen. So Daredevil's such a cool character, so I'm very excited for the season. So it's not on the level of Netflix for sure so far.
Okay.
So I'd probably give it like a 7.5, around that
Okay.
area.
Yeah. I think my average comes in at a low 7s with, 6.5 to a 7.9 there. So yeah, I think there still is work to be done. But again, the episode 2, it left me feeling hopeful about that work that needs to be done. If they would have ended up on episode 1, man, this would have been a differently toned hosted episode by me. So I have hope. I think it's going to be good. I'm very, very curious to see what tomorrow brings.
Hopefully what they cut off of the original take of the show, hopefully what they kept, I should say, was mostly these 2 episodes. You know what I'm saying? So like a bunch of the stuff they already had that isn't like the new stuff's going to be the best stuff, but they still had maybe 20% of the show. Hopefully a lot
There's
of that
been
was
mixed
stuffed into
reviews
these 2
online,
episodes.
that's for sure.
Right, like 80% on Rotten Tomatoes though, doesn't it? Critic
I
and
haven't
audience?
70 something, 77.
Okay. I haven't seen any. I haven't really been on social media comments since it came out. So I haven't
83.
really seen the reaction.
83.
What's
83?
popcorn meter and tomato meter? It's 83
Popcorn
80
is audience.
Popcorn's audience.
Oh yeah, 82 audience, 83 critic.
Well, I know IGN gave it an 8, but IGN is some of the absolute just stupidest people I've ever seen on ratings. So
Yeah,
even
no
though it's
one
a
gives
good
it
one,
an
I'm
8.
still not gonna. Yeah,
Giving that
exactly.
an 8, like
They're good for
average would be the
trailers.
worst.
Yeah, they're good for trailers, and that's about it. I don't really.
And
But I mean,
walkthrough
yeah.
auditions.
There you go. What's another major? I don't know.
Well, it said Daredevil.
IMDb.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes Daredevil gave season 1.
Tomatoes.
I think they gave Daredevil season 1 like a 99, and then they gave season 2 like a 80 something, and then they gave
Wow.
season 3 like a 92.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
People love
yeah,
season
hard
3.
disagree there.
Yeah.
Season 3 is good, but
It is.
yeah, disagree there. But IMDb season 1 or episode 1's got an 8.7 and episode 2's got an 8.6 on IMDb right now. So I mean, all around, it's getting fairly good reception.
I think I like the first episode more than you. They were both pretty equal to me.
Yeah, they both
Straight
had
up.
a great moment in my eyes, and then kind of a slow overall.
Yeah, and on the rewatch, expecting what I was gonna see. I enjoyed the opener a little more on episode 1, but I don't like the decisions they made. But yeah, but that's it. So we'll see. I think that does it here. I think we're really excited to see what continues to happen here. We might have some guests coming on for some episodes covering this show, but we will be covering it because it is a dope show. And be sure to stay tuned for our future Daredevil comics coverages as well.
Daredevil season 2.
Daredevil season 2 as well, which will be coming out very, very soon to the ending of this series too. So stay tuned. We got tons of Daredevil coming at you. We already got a couple Daredevil episodes out, so be sure to go and check it out, and be sure to stay tuned or to tune in, either one, next time on Why So Sidious, Nerd Podcast. Oh,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
I gotta go help out. I'll see you fellas later.
All right, brother. You have a good night, sir.
Peace. You want me to
See ya.
edit this one? I'll edit this one. I have free time.
Word. Yeah. I'm at 85%, so I'll stay until it's done.
All right. Later, bro.